Happy Saturday, everyone.
All right, happy
Welcome
Saturday.
back. Yeah, look at all the beautiful faces. Happy Mother's Day. Let's first of all begin with that. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to all, Mom.
Dr. Bev, Marynell, we're assuming Kim, Beverly, woohoo, myself.
Yes.
We are live, everyone. We are live on Facebook. Thank you for joining us at Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. Brought to you by Caribbean American Diaspora Alliance and Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. So, my name is Donna Morgan. We are running a little behind, but that's okay. You know, outside is open again, so it throws us off here and there. And of course, technical issues. My name is Donna Morgan, and I am the president for Caribbean American Diaspora Alliance, president of Women of Culture Incorporated, real estate broker of Florida Summer Homes Realty, and life coach at Inner Vibes Consultants. So we are going to start off by having everyone to just say a quick hello about themselves, right? Let's start off with Dr. Bev, and Louis, we're going to leave you for last, all right?
Problem.
Do a
Awesome.
quick little 10-second promo for everybody tonight. Dr. B?
All right. Good evening to our viewers and listeners, and welcome once again. If you can see that beam in my eyes, I am excited because today is a well-needed forum, the wisdom, the knowledge that we're going to share today. It's something that we're going to either hold someone hand or walk through the tunnel with a friend, a family member, or someone who is in need of this right now, right this minute, because it is not a small issue. It is just growing. It's an issue that's growing, or we're hearing more of it. So we're becoming a little bit more conscious. And these ladies here tonight are just going to fill us up with it. Thanks.
All right.
We can continue, Miss Marynell. Introduce yourself, who you're on, what's your specialties.
Okay, my name is Marynell Bryant. I'm from the island of Dominica. I was just there last week on vacation after a 9 years hiatus. I haven't been there in a while, so it was really good to go back. I'm a social worker in New York City. I work in the capacity of a supervisor in the child welfare program. So I am here tonight willing to share what I've been experiencing in my 20-year career with mental health in children, teenagers. So I'm here and I can't wait to share what I have. So help empower or bring knowledge and understanding and wisdom on the topic to others.
Amen. All right. Dr. Kim.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Good. Okay. So my name is Kim Isaac DeBarros, and I'm a counseling psychologist. And I work with people from 6 years old all the way up to 60 or 90, whoever is coming in for services. And again, working with mental health and looking at mental health and ensuring that clients get what they need in terms of making that adjustment and being secure in their adjustment. And when I say that, I'm definitely really speaking about the younger children, making sure that they get what they need. Again, my name is Kim DeBarros, and I'm happy to be here.
And you're from, and you work in where? What state are you in
now? I am from the Twin Island Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and I am in Virginia.
Okay, good. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, someone dropped out. We have Beverly next.
Hello, everyone. I am Beverly DeBreo, and I am a behavior analyst, board certified behavior analyst. I also specialize in infant mental health. I am in Florida, and I'm originally from Antigua, but right now I'm residing in Florida, where I'm also the chair of the Florida Association of Infant Mental Health. So you'll be hearing a lot from me today. I'm happy to be here sharing information with you guys on Mother's Day. on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day again.
Thank you,
All
Bev.
right, all right. Thank you, thank you.
You.
So,
Mr.
Miss,
Lewis?
All right. So I just love the diversity of people that are on this panel this evening. It's good to see all of you here to discuss such a well-needed topic. I know we went through this last year, and it is good, Donna, that we have the opportunity to bring it back this year on the network. Congratulations to all of you ladies who are mothers. We are celebrating your life. Today is International Mother's Day. And so we just want to congratulate all of you, our mothers. And it's just good to have all of you. We hope our listeners on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network will be informed and educate with what's going on this panel this evening. God bless and welcome.
okay.
All right. So we know this is not a topic, an easy topic. It's touching mental health has just gotten, it's affecting us in so many ways. And so, you know, stress, depression, anxiety, all of that. And it actually is affecting a younger age. We see suicide, all of these things happening. And so we are thankful today that we have these professionals that can come on and kind of tell us and guide us a little bit, because it's all about helping the community and bringing awareness to and education to the community. So we must say, especially on this busy Mother's Day weekend, for these beautiful moms to come on and professionals to come on and share with us, because it's all about one love. And it's a critical and important topic. And with that, we'll turn it over, Dr. Bev, for you to finish off and introduce.
Okay, good evening once again. We're gonna just dive right into it. We're gonna start with the individual who's gonna bring us the newborn and the very little preemie ones, etc. It's that Dr. Kim. She's gonna share with us those you know, so we hear a lot about the babies, the newborn. People said just the babies born with mental health. Can you identify it? Can you tell us some of those things about starting out? Wait, we're having a problem. Kim, you're muted. You're muted. Thank
Okay,
you.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So what I would like to start out with is just even starting from pregnancy and how important the pregnancy is in terms of, well, we know the nutrition part and all that, but in terms of bonding, in terms of attachment, we speak in terms of attachment, you know, people talking about speaking to the baby while the baby is in utero. So in your belly, you can talk to the baby, you can sing to the baby, and really already getting the child used to hearing your voice, being able to identify your voice. And that's not only specific to the mother, it can also be to the father, to other people who are living in that household, who is close to and who will be some kind of caregiver to that infant. So that's one of the things that we want to start with, because people say, oh, well, no, you know, it's not. I mean, we're having this debate about abortion now. I don't want to go into it too much, but that you can actually start having those conversations, reading to the baby and so on, to help the child develop a healthy mental health already, even though he's not here or she's not here with us yet, but having that mental health security and attachment starting to develop in utero. The second part is, so we're speaking in terms of attachment, and as the baby comes out, the very things that we can do, some people said would consider sort of like thinking in terms of, well, whether the baby is crying, if crying is important, should the baby cry, should the baby not cry? But what is important is that the mother or the primary caregiver is paying attention to the baby's needs. So for example, again, with the crying. So if a baby is used to having the mother come each time, or usually come when the baby is crying, then that baby is likely to develop a more secure self, a more secure sense of self. And so we're talking in terms of later being attached to that mother and understanding that that mother is there for him or her. What else? So that
So,
there's that bonding that we're talking about.
okay,
Go
so
ahead.
what you're talking about bonding, and I know that recently there was something that went viral in reference to a dad taking a baby and have him on the chest, and that bonding started. Could you give us some information about that skin to skin contact?
Oh wow, yes, yes. So in terms of skin to skin, and this is something that I know we're celebrating moms, but I remember when I had my first baby, it wasn't something that I was familiar with. I A lot of my knowledge was certainly abstract, because like I said, it was my first baby. And one of the things that they did was, she came out and they put her on me, and I was just like, what is happening? Like, aren't you going to clean her up? Aren't you going to, and the nurses, they assured me that this is important, that, this not taking the time to clean her first, but putting her directly on me and having those first few moments of skin to skin. So skin to skin, and it's interesting how allowing that child to, so the science is showing things like learning how to breathe, appropriate breathing rhythm just from your breath. The baby is learning to do that. It's soothing the baby. It's helping the baby to regulate his or her core temperature. So it's not just skin to skin, because then they will also put a blanket over both of you and so on and so forth. But it really is having that time together to have that regulatory process take place. And then sort of, again, the security, the bonding, and all of those pluses that can develop from that skin to skin, from one individual to the next in that the first stage of development outside of the out of utero.
Okay, good, good. Can
Mhm,
you
mhm,
elaborate a little bit more about, I know you talked about the crying. Can you talk about
mhm.
the types of cry or the purple period? What is
Oh,
that exactly for our viewers?
well, the purple period, or the period of purple crying, is
Yes.
something that is relatively new, I would say. Most people, we know about colic. When the baby's crying and the baby won't stop, it's like, oh, it has colic, but nobody really knows how to stop it, or when it's going to stop, or what's happening. This period of purple crying is a little bit different in that it's kind of giving us some markers. So, for example, the theorists are saying from 2 weeks to about 8 weeks, a baby can start crying and increase in duration and intensity of the cry. And we all know when a baby's crying, the poor baby can't talk to tell us what is going on. So we're saying, well, check the diaper. Is he hungry? Is she hungry? Change the clothes, do this, do that. Maybe it's hot. So all these things go through our mind as a process of elimination, but sometimes there's nothing at all wrong in the sense of what we can do. There's nothing that we can do but comfort that baby during that crying spell. And so again, it's that period, it starts around 2 weeks of age. And according to the theorists, they're saying, well, it can stop at 3 weeks. So a very short purple crying period, or it can stop at 6 weeks, but definitely around the 8th week period, you expect to have that baby settling down, kind of getting into a routine of being in the world, so to speak. So you have that. It's a very sort of, it's that what we call like peak crying. So it's a crying, and the letters that purple crying actually spell out something. So it's like, let me look here and see. So P, the first P stands for that peak crying. The baby's crying again, like I said, between 2 weeks to about 2 months. It's unexpected. The U is unexpected. So the baby's crying and it can get really, really just intense, the kind of intensity. R, it resists soothing. So again, as I said earlier, nothing that you can do or seemingly nothing that you can do is going to stop this crying. And then the second P is for, it's like a pain-like face. So the baby appears to be in pain, but the baby really isn't in pain. So as a mother and somebody who wants to, a caregiver who is wanting to help, continue to try to soothe the baby, because in some ways I think that is helpful. It's long lasting. So the baby can cry for, hours or 20 minutes to hours. And that again, and we're thinking about the baby and mental health. And I'd like to add something to this when I'm finished with telling you what these letters stand for. But in terms of the mom, a new mom or a mom that's had a baby before, having this go on and her own mental health, how that is being affected during this period of purple crying. And then E stands for evenings. And we all know at the end of the day, we're tired. Everybody's tired. You've probably been to work. You've probably had a long day with this baby all day, maybe other children in the home. So this is when it comes on and the baby can cry for hours into the night. But the good thing is that when they said purple period, that it means that it is coming to an end, or it can come. Yes, it will come to an end. And so that brings some comfort to, should bring some comfort to us as mothers, to women who are thinking about having children or adopting children, that this is something that will come to an end. It's just part of the normal developmental phase for a baby.
Interested. So how do parents deal with this period when they go into this period?
Yes, well, I think that it requires a lot of support. So support in the home. If you have more than one adult in the home, sometimes if the grandmother or a close friend can come over and help, because it can be very, very stressful. And so that's what I was saying earlier in terms of helping, like how does a mother deal with this? And yes, the support is absolutely important. And really giving yourself some positive self-talk, for example, saying, I am doing what I need to do to be here for my baby. So my baby is okay. I've done everything that I can do for him or her, and just continue to hold the baby. It's important, if you realize that you are getting particularly stressed by this, to put down the baby. Let the baby be in a crib or somewhere that is safe, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to shake the baby. You don't want to get upset where you're doing something that can be potentially harmful to the baby. So put down the baby, let the baby cry. The baby's okay, you already done everything. The baby is not hungry, the baby is not needing of a diaper change. The baby is not going through anything that is out of the ordinary at this point. So those are some of the things. So definitely support, definitely positive self-talk, and then there's definitely being okay with putting down the baby. It's okay to put down the baby. And then sometimes if that's not, Levon, if that is not something that you have in your home, or you have a friend or somebody who can come in and help you, then sometimes you see women go through what we call postpartum depression. I'm sure everybody's heard of postpartum depression. And this is something that is very, very real. And really thinking about looking at yourself to see if you're starting to experience any kind of symptoms of this phenomenon or this diagnosis. So for example, are you sleeping more? Baby's crying, you're not attending to the baby, you're just sleeping. So changes in your sleep habit other than having to get up to take care of the baby. Changes in your eating habits that are out of the ordinary. So eating a whole lot more. And we do know that our appetite changes with the baby. If you are breastfeeding, you might be eating a little bit more, but still really thinking about, is this within a normal range? And you'll get a chance to understand that, because we're looking over a 2-week period to see if some of these things, these depressive symptoms are coming into play, to give you a diagnosis of postpartum depression. And then you, in addition, will need some support services, professional support services, to help you with the postpartum depression. and to take care of yourself, but then to also to make sure that the baby is being well cared for. So again, the sleeping, the eating, um, any kind of thoughts that are harmful to you or the newborn, those kinds of things we really need to pay attention to those, because it again, it's a family, it's a unit. We have to make sure that everybody is well and well looked after.
Mm.
Wow. And Dr. Kim, a lot of times postpartum is not, it's overlooked.
Yes, yes,
Do we know how
yes.
long that is? It like, okay, up to a year, that woman, after 2 years, you kind
I can't remember exactly. Beverly might be able to help me with this one, but I think that it can go on if it's untreated. And I think that's the thing that we really need to think about, how this is. And as the baby ages, is the mom also getting better? So if you haven't, for example, if you haven't taken care of it by seeking professional help, now that the baby's in a routine, are you getting better yourself? So if you haven't sought out professional help, will this go away at some point? Are you then getting back into your own routine? Are you feeling a little bit more secure as a mom? And that's the whole thing. It's like we're starting to feel insecure. Can we do this? That those thoughts actually help, or I wouldn't say help in the way, but it kind of projects us into a state of depression that we normally wouldn't have. Like, so the insecurity about being a mother. So if somebody else has a timeline, I would be helpful. That would be helpful, but I can't really think of that now. But I think that as time goes on and you are back into your routine, the baby is into a routine, then we would see those symptoms starting to decrease.
Wow, good to know. Sometimes when
Mhm.
we see a lot where mom hurts her own child or children,
Yeah, yeah,
oh, she's wicked. We don't really
yeah,
always understand
yeah,
that,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
mental health issue going on, and something
Mm-hmm.
has been brewing and brewing. So
Right, right,
thank you.
right. Thank you.
Dr. Bev, you're muted.
Yes, yes. I was saying that we will get back to Kim later with any questions that's coming up on Facebook. We appreciate you at this moment. Don't disappear, because there's more we would like for you to summarize and give our viewers and listeners as well. We're gonna go up a notch where we want to talk about the next stage, and we're gonna ask Beverly to bring on and to tell us a little bit more, continuing from Kim, and add where it's needed. Mute.
Okay, so I'm going to be discussing infant mental health, and that's basically from 0 up until around 8 years old. Some people say up until 5, but I like the number 8 because I like to keep them young for a long time. So infant mental health is basically about prevention. It's also about being positive and being proactive. So it's not about children who have mental health problems. It's something for all children. It's basically, we want to view mental health for children the same way we view physical health. We take our children to the doctor to get all these to get the physical checkups, but we never, ever, ever seek a mental health professional. Their preventative things is easier to target children when they are young. It actually saves you a whole lot of time and a whole lot of money. It also makes treatment more successful. So it's not just about treatment, like I said, it's also about prevention. We want to get in there, like Dr. Kim said, we want to be doing something positive, doing something to ensure good mental health from the day of pregnancy or the day you find out that you're having a new one. So infant mental health is also based a lot too on relationships. So we can see a child as an individual and provide intervention for a child as an individual. So we view a child as a part of relationships. And the main relationship, like Dr. Kim said again, is the relationship between the child and the main caretaker or caregiver. That main caregiver may not actually be the mother. So whoever is the main caretaker, we want to make sure that the child has a positive relationship with that person. If the child does not, and there's been some damage, there's been some problems with attachment, then we want to go ahead and repair that damage as soon as possible. So let's start thinking about it. If you're listening to this and you're a parent, let's start thinking about your child mental health. Let's take it just as seriously as we would take your child's physical health. And it is related, it does matter. It is just as important, if not more important, because a healthy child with a healthy body, I don't think they're going to accomplish much without a healthy mental health.
That is
I think that was a
100%.
good way of explaining the need for mental health, the importance for mental health, because you know what? I never looked at it that way when you said you go to your physical and you do this and you do that. When are you checking in on this? This is what's carrying you. When do you stop to appreciate it and say, well, let's make sure that everything is running the way it's supposed to run? You know, it's totally overlooked. So what does it look like when a child is mentally healthy?
Okay, so if a child has good mental health, we're gonna see a child who understands feelings and emotions, not only their feelings, but feelings of other people. So they have to understand, be able to read other people's feeling. For example, if you can't read the feeling of another person, how do you know to adjust your feeling? How do you know whether it's dangerous, whether it's safe? So based on other people's feelings and our ability to read those feelings, that's how we know how to respond appropriately. Good mental health for a child also look at relationships. So we have positive relationships. Like I've said it several times, and Marynell had said it several times on this show also, that the relationships are great, and a lot of them are great and wonderful. We love relationships, but you need one good person in that child's life. That child needs one hero, one angel, one protector. So if you can see that that child has a person who 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 they look at as an angel or a hero, if that child has that person, then that's going to be a very emotionally strong child. Just to give you a personal story, which I don't like personal stories, but my sons call me the legendary mom. And that's the day I knew that I had done a great job, because they called me the legendary mom, and I'll never forget that. So you have to look at the positive relationships. That means good mental health. When children have good mental health, they feel safe to seek out experiences. And they also feel safe to learn from those experiences, because a child who is fearful, a child who is insecure, a child who doesn't have anyone looking out for them, that child is too busy with stress. And yes, children do experience stress. That child is too stressed to learn from his environment or her environment. So that child has to have a sense of safety and feel as though the world is safe in order to learn from their experiences. Good mental health also may require early intervention, because if your child has any issues, there's no wait and see approach. The wait and see approach, it's the wrong approach. It doesn't work like that. So the best thing to do is to get it treated right away, because the longer a child has the behavior, the longer a child has the condition, the longer a child has the stress, the more difficult it's going to be to get rid of it. So what we need to do is you need to jump on it right away. You're going to save a lot of money and a lot of time, a lot of headache, and a lot of stress for yourself if you address it immediately. So address it immediately, save time and money.
I know you mentioned about relationship can damage. Is there some other things that can damage the child's mental health? Some of the factors that affect.
Okay, some of the things. Okay, so some of the other things that I would say are the experiences that we have, and I'll give you. Okay, so example, a child. Let's start with what Kim spoke about. A child who has a parent who is stressed, right? If you're stressed, if you can't take care of yourself, how can you take care of your child? Also think about, if you don't know how to handle your mental health issues, how can you be a model for your child? How can you teach your child what you don't know? So parental depression, maternal depression, those things are factors that influence a child's mental health. Also, there's some biological influences. So we don't want to say there's nothing biological and it's all social, but the biological factors are still, they take second place to the social factors, but there are some biological factors that affect mental health. We also need to talk about abuse, and we talk about abuse a lot. I think it was a few weeks ago, Marynell was the guest, and she spoke a lot about abuse. All types of abuse, from sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. All those things hurt your children's mental health, right? So let's, a big one is foster care, because if you think about a child who's in the foster care system, a child who's in the foster care system, they don't have that parent or that angel to protect them. So they're constantly stressed all the time. A child who experienced death of a loved one, especially if the loved one was close to you, that's a stressful event for a child. What about your parents going to prison? That's very stressful for children, having to know that their parents are in prison, because then again, it's not just the prison, you have the prison, but then you're also losing all these things that the parent should be providing for you. And the other one that people don't want to hear about is TV time and social media. Okay, I'm going to say it again, TV time and social media. So I'm not just talking about the TV, I'm talking about the TV, the cell phone, basically social media. I know we're on social media now, but we're doing it the right way, okay? So a lot of children are facing social media and let's say screen time depression and addiction also. The more TV your child watches, the more likely your child is to be depressed. So we have to face it. I know we've come a long way with technology and we love to see all the things our kids can do, but yeah, we have to step back with the TV time, because the research is showing that it's not useful. You know, we can think whatever we want to think, but the studies are showing the TV time, the screen time, the social media time is just not helpful.
Awesome. Oh, that was so touching. You know, I teach some brilliant students, and sometimes they come up with these questions. And as Bev was speaking just now, I'm hearing one of my students saying to me, And we're doing the skin, and I'm talking, and I start to talk about the skin, how important it is. Just like Bev is saying, some things that we overlook and they have nothing. It's not one of those organs that stand out like my brain and my heart. So it's overlooked as an organ, and it's an important one and the biggest one, right? Because it's from head to toe. So my student says to me, nah, man, that skin ain't nothing. The skin has failed me. The skin has failed me. Why is it people get broken bones and people get this? You know, he's really going on 5th grade science, and he's just really diving into it as to why it failed him, you know. But I said, just imagine if it wasn't there, right? So you'll be walking around, plump, 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 you know, bacteria, germs, all those other things. So I'm just thinking about when she made that piece there, that connection of how, you know, you need those things. You might not see the importance, like we don't look at it that way. Physical, mental, it's needed. Everybody talks about the social and emotional learning and social, you know, those are new things that are coming out today. But our psyche, our mental, you know, we don't talk about it. That's why it's affecting so many folks. I mean, and then when you see it, you say, oh my God, if I had only known the signs. Let's get into the signs, because the signs are there most time.
I wonder if there's any study. Has anybody done any study where to show that the kids, well, like when we were growing up, you know, we were outside playing, riding bikes, climbing trees, just running around, doing all these different things, activities. We didn't. So now you've got this group of children where they're stationary. Yeah, they're just social media. It's all about likes. That whole likes thing, you know, if you put up a picture, is how many likes did you get? And so, any studies, do we know if these children are a little bit more depressed than children in another generation, or are they the same?
I can't quote the studies, exact studies, but yes, people today are more depressed. Also, the way how depression work is if you're depressed and you pass it on, which most people do pass it on to their child, your child would pass it on to her child, and it passes down and down. But as it passes down from one generation to the next, it doesn't get weaker, it actually gets stronger. So the mental illness in each generation, if it's not taken care of, it's getting stronger, not weaker. So it's not so much biology. That mental health is passing down. And like I said, yes, some mental health and some conditions are totally biology. But for the most part, most of them are really social, passing on from one generation to the next. And yes, it has been shown that people who are on social media are more depressed than other people.
Yeah, and probably because we're minding everybody else's business instead of minding our own, and it really is too much though, right? If you think about it, okay, you used to have a group of friends and we'd hang out, do happy hour and all those kind of things. Now you've got 3,000, 4,000 friends if you go on social media, and you're trying to follow, like, you can't, and then even digesting all of that into your own space, in your mental space of what's going on with that one died, this one died, that one died. It really is too much.
It makes you feel big, like you have a fan club, but reality is you're not taking time to deal with the issues around you, the immediate situations around you, because everywhere we go, we see everybody like this. And no matter the age group, they're from your waist high all the way till they're like this. It doesn't matter. And I'm like at the doctor's office, the same thing. And I'm like, what? What is this place becoming?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I like that, and just going back to the way that Beverly opened with the physical and the mental, because you know, we've known for years that, you know, based on your question, Donna, the children that are not going outside, that are not playing, that their physical health
Right.
is deteriorating. So they're not as fit as the other kids that were playing outside or the kids who are in any kind of organized sports. But we haven't had, and I'm glad that you asked that question. We haven't had those studies that are showing. I think some of them are coming up now, but that have been showing that yes, it also is affecting their mental health, a healthy mental development. That, you know, are these children depressed? Why they're watching so much TV? Why they're on the internet so much? And as parents, what our responsibility is to ensure that screen time is limited. You know, I like Marynell, I was in St. Kitts a few weeks ago, and one of the things was I heard that people say, "Oh, it's like your sixth finger. The phone is like your sixth finger," and I hadn't heard that before. And I was like, "Oh wow!" I was like, "What is?" Like, no, it's because the phone is in your hand so much that
Right.
it's like a sixth finger, and so it just becomes such a normal way of living. And again, across socioeconomic statuses, so everybody has a phone.
Yeah.
Everybody has a phone. People have more than one phone and they give the kids one. That the kids, you know, it's like as in the doctor's office, you're in the doctor's office and the kid is like, to quiet down the children, they're giving them the phone, you know,
Parenting.
before you
Yes.
open a magazine and say, look, you know, even if the child is just looking through at the pictures, that is not happening anymore. You pick out your extra phone out of your bag
No, you walk with
and you
it
give it
just
to
for
the
that
child. So yes,
purpose.
we have
You walk with it, the
absolutely,
tablet,
absolutely.
to parent your children, to parent your
Yeah,
children. It's
yeah,
bizarre. You know,
yeah.
you're buying those extra things as providing the
Mm-hmm.
means to calm them
Yep,
down, or so you don't have to deal with them. You made
that's
them,
right.
but now
That's
put
right.
them out there. I don't have to deal with them. So another a million people elsewhere is educating them, teaching them their way of life, and
Right.
forget about your household. It's
Right.
destroying families.
It is.
Because
It
they are
is.
learning, and that's one thing
Yes,
I don't
that's
think
your
people
crucial
understand
age.
it. They're learning whatever it is they're spending 4 hours, 5 hours a day or more.
That's the crucial age where learning is happening. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. So that is the crucial age, 0 to 3, 0 to 5. Basically, the younger you are, there's just so much going on with the brain, and you know we're born with certain neurons, but they have to make connections in order for us to learn. They're making these connections, and basically if they don't make certain connections because you're not doing certain things, eventually you're going to lose those abilities, because the brain goes through something like called pruning, where it clips away the neurons that are not being used. So if your child isn't having those experiences early in life, then the brain is going to get rid of it. So the brain basically work on a what we call use it or
lose
lose
it.
it. So you either
Yeah.
you use it or you lose it.
I
So
think that
stress physically affects the brain. You know, children who are stressed, their brain is going to be less developed than children who are, you know, not stressed.
I think that would be a good note, Bev, to explain before we leave this evening. So we're gonna give Miss Marynell an opportunity to deliver her knowledge onto us, and then the ladies will get an opportunity to give us your magic. Just give us some support at the end.
Hello, everyone again. So
So
I'm going to talk
Good
about,
evening.
good evening. So I'm going to speak about the younger ones, probably Beth's 8. So probably I'll do a little 8 and above, 5 to 8 and above. So we look at mental health in preteens and teens. And we think mental health is a way of describing social and emotional well-being. Your child needs good mental health to develop in a healthy way. Building strong relationship. The relationship was talked about a lot tonight. So we know relationship is important. So they need to build strong relationship to adapt and change and deal with the life challenges. I love when Beverly talked about being able to adjust their emotions based on other people reaction or just to keep them safe. So we know preteens and teenagers who have good mental health feel happier, more positive about themselves, and enjoy their life. They bounce back from upset and disappointments, which we know always happens in life. They have healthier relationship with their family and friends. They do physical activity. We talked a lot about that, being outdoors and jumping and climbing. So they do physical activities and eat healthier diets. They get involved in activities, have a better sense of achievement. They can relax, have a good night's sleep, and feel like they belong to family and friends and a community. Signs teens might be having mental health issues. We know that it's normal for teenagers, preteens to sometimes have low moods, poor motivation, and trouble sleeping. These things are, these aren't always the signs of mental health. We go through different feelings and mood based on the weather, based on probably getting low grades at school, based on something going on at home. But as I said earlier, we able to bounce back from those things. However, if we are noticing that our teenagers are going weeks and weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, and they are still experiencing these low moods, then we have to have a conversation with them. We talk a lot about the importance of parenting, and I know Beverly touched on that, and that is so important. A child's mental health is gonna be, I'm not gonna say 100% directed to the way they are parented, but it's a significant part of parenting, how you parent your child, especially preteens and teenagers. We know adolescence is a time when young people are struggling to fit in, and we touched on the social media, and that's a huge part right now. They are struggling to fit in socially and emotionally. They're especially vulnerable to bullying, being socially ostracized, family dysfunction, problem in school, trauma, and all these issues triggers mental health. So what are the signs we are going to see when we have children, preteens, and teenagers that are struggling mentally? We see they are sad a lot of the times. We see for the educators in the room or the educators online, school, they drop in their school performances. They have ongoing worries and fears. A few days ago, I was at work and I had a session with a young girl, and she literally didn't go to school for the month of March. Trying to do an intervention to find out what is going on. And it's the anxiety. When I go to school, I'm sitting there, my hands are shaking. I'm so worried. And you want to know worried about what? And then we know, as Beverly said, how abuse factors in to children's mental health. Worry about what's going on at home, what they can't control. So we know that ongoing worries and fears. This child was complaining of stomach ache, couldn't keep anything down. Mental health takes on physical aspects. So sometimes kids who are worried, they complain about headache, vomiting, having stomach aches. All that is because of worry, loss of appetite, being picky eaters, problems fitting in school or getting along with others. And sometimes we see a lot of aggressive behavior, disobedient. We call them defiant to authorities, teachers, other authority figures in their life, their parents. We see repeated temper tantrums, and we also see kids who having sleep problems and nightmares. So when we see these, we know kids are struggling. Teenagers, they may seem down, feeling hopeless, lack of motivation. We see they might have sudden change in behavior. Sometimes we don't have a reason for that. Having trouble eating or sleeping, not doing well at school, refusing to go to school. We see a lot of truancy, school dropouts. They're not doing well, avoiding friends and social contacts, saying they have physical pain. headaches, stomachache, backaches, the whole 9 yards. So we know how difficult it is for teenagers and younger children that they're experiencing all those things. However, this is where the parenting piece is going to come in, because I know probably sometimes the best of us have said to our kids, you're going to go to school, you'll feel better by the end of the day. I know probably some point in time I have been guilty of saying that. You'll feel better by the end of the day. But it's so important that we take stock of what our children are going through, because if we don't, we are leaving them a lifetime of not feeling supported. Parenting is a big piece, because as a teenager growing up and as I see parent their teenagers, this is my house. I put the rules down. It's either my way or the highway. This is not the way we want to be parenting teenagers and adolescents, because you know what? This is their house also. When they go to school and they say, where is the address? They're going to give the address of the house they live in. So we understand, like parents, you pay the bills, you provide all that good stuff for your teenagers, but healthy parenting, especially with preteens and teenagers, you want to have healthy, effective communication because that's why sometimes teenagers run away, because the parents will say, this is my house. So the question is to them is, where do I belong? Where is my house? I don't feel loved. I don't feel cared for. I want to have a conversation with my mom or my dad or my grandma, my auntie, whoever is providing care. And it's always coming back to, you have to follow my rules. You have to do, it's not a conversation where they could have mediation and come up with, some kind of consensus that if the teenager wants to stay out till 6 o'clock, maybe they could agree on 5:30 instead of not having a conversation, but yelling and screaming. So parenting have a lot to do with the way children develop strong attachment, good bonding, that where they could talk to the parents and have a conversation and feel heard. So we want to be very careful when we are parenting adolescents and preteens, that we want to have conversation. We want to hear how they feel, what they have to say, because they're little people, but they have a lot of information, just like what not Beverly, her sister, mentioned, that this kid is talking about the skin and how it's important. These young people have a lot of thoughts. They have a lot of thinking. They are reading. They are absorbing everything in the environment, and they are really thinking. And what they need is that adult that's going to listen, that's going to make them feel like they belong, that's going to make them feel heard. That is so important, because when kids don't feel heard, they get depressed. They have nobody to talk to. Then they aligned with other kids that's going through this. And then we have like a gang of kids who we don't consider as the bad children, one that only. Who is the greater influence? The parents, the caretakers. So we have to listen to our children. We have to make them feel secure. We want to listen, and we want to make them feel secure, from all the way from the womb until to the grave, pretty much. We want to always partner and make them feel secure.
Marynell, that's so important, because the parenting thing, right? Because we know it's learned. We learned because we heard it. We heard, if you think you're a woman today, if you think, you're a man today, and you're in my house, my rules. And we're it wasn't effective for us, but we learned that. And then we have kids, and then we do the same thing, and it backfires again. So I think the thing is, there's not enough parenting classes. I had someone actually said that, a friend of mine said that he raised like his first two kids from the Old Testament with a lot of harsh rules, right? And then by the third child, he had learned so much. He learned that was New Testament with grace. So I think, I think if we can have more classes required for parents And it would help on both ends, the mental health for the parents, for the children, because we have these bodies, these individuals, these lives that we're shaping, and if we don't even know how to shape our lives, how in the world can we then shape the lives of these children properly?
We see a lot of teenagers, preteens and teenagers get sex trafficked, run away from home and wind up in terrible situation. And we don't even understand how numerous that is. It's huge. It's a huge problem.
Right.
And that's when they don't feel comfortable at home. So parents who don't parent with that grace, is my way or the highway, this is my house, they don't foster communication, foster like effective communication, hear your young person out. Then they develop that feeling like, okay, this is my house, you can't do what you want, you have to leave. They literally leave. And then the parents are devastated because the parents wasn't expecting that would be the outcome. They didn't expect they would leave. And they did leave. So we definitely want to pay so much attention to our children when they are feeling down, when they want to speak. We need to listen. But first, as Dr. Kim said, we have to care for ourselves. We cannot give from an empty cup. We hear that all the time. We cannot give what we do not have. Sometimes we as parents have to take care of our mental health. So we have to know what healthy mental health look like and when it's not healthy, and be willing to address it, to seek professional help if needed. A lot of families that I work with and probably the other professionals, oh, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I don't need to speak to a professional. I'm not crazy. And, I have friends I could speak with. But you need somebody that's impartial, not somebody that's going to just feed into, or you're fine, you'll be okay. Somebody that really needs to take a deep dive and provide professional counseling to you. So that's something that, a lot of parents need. We all need that kind of emotional support, as Kim said earlier. With you have a baby that's crying, you are stressed, nothing you do is working. You start questioning yourself. You question yourself, what did I do wrong? And now you start developing stress. So it's so important that we able to identify when we are not feeling well and when we need to reach out for professional help.
All right. You
Yeah.
you asked a question. I'm going to give the ladies a minute to finish up so we can summarize. You asked a question, Miss Marynell, and you said, who are the influences on the kid? And you answered it and you said, the parents. And you should say it's who should be the stronger influence, right? Because a lot of times they think their friend knows it all. Their friend got the magic, So
But
that's one thing.
you see, Beverly, I just want to touch on that really quickly. And we have, and maybe Dr. Kim could maybe emphasize on that more, because when you have the children, there is a portion of time when you are their hero. Like now, maybe the second graders and the third graders, they probably bring home flowers for mom, for Mother's Day. They're making cards for mom, and everything is mom. I want to be with mom and whatever. This is the time when we have to give them the love, have the communication with them, talk to them, because we are their hero at that point. If we wait until they become preteens and teenagers, now their friends is the audience. Mom don't know anything.
Right.
I know my daughter was saying to me, look at me walking around thinking I have a master's degree. I go to work, I have this status at work, and I come home. You don't know nothing.
Yeah.
Because at this point,
I think part of it.
I'm not their audience anymore.
No.
But hopefully,
And I
the
think
influence you put in when they're 8 and 9 and 10 is gonna hold it together, so you could parent differently when they're adolescents.
Right. I think that all of that is definitely true, but I think part of it is sometimes, like you said, Donna, there are not enough parenting classes, and there's so many of us, we're looking at how we were parented, and we know what we did not like, but then we turn around and we're looking at, well, some people say, well, things were better back then because parents were able to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm just like, were they really better? We need to be more more sophisticated about how we think in terms of who we're parenting. I have a 12-year-old, and when I turn on the TV and I said, what are they talking about? What does that mean? Because she knows more about the lingo, the social media speak, what all the emojis mean, and all of this
Right.
text language. You know,
Right.
so I tap into that because if I don't, because she might be sending messages to her friends that I that are not
I can't read it. You can't read.
English, you know, that I don't understand. Exactly. And so, like you're saying, like, you know, how am I creating that relationship with a 12-year-old who in 6 years is actually going to be out of my home, who is going on to university, who might be going on to do other things, you know, whatever she chooses. But this is a real time for us to be sort of like building that because I had well, I'll just a short story. When we were, you know, younger and getting starting to have kids, I remember we went into a bookstore, we ran into some friends, and they were in the children's section. And lo and behold, they were so terrified, is the word I would use. Terrified. He said, yes, we had this baby, and do you know that they just let us out of the hospital? They didn't even tell us what to do with this baby. And I said, well, what did you expect? You know, but the fact is that they were actually looking for a book. And part of it
Oh wow.
is, you know, is this something that we can learn in parenting classes or removing the stigma of what a parenting class should do? Because today, and we know in the field, the only people who go to parenting classes are the people who have been charged with neglecting their children.
Right.
And so we
And
don't, it does
that's
not need to be at the very extreme. You know, it's some of us who might need some skills. It's like, how do I talk to her? Not now that she's not 6 anymore, and I'm her hero, but now that she's 12, now that she's 17. Now, you know, these kind of
Mm.
developmental markers and how the conversation has to change, how the parenting has to change.
okay. We're
Yes.
gonna give Bev. You
And,
will get to finish up. I was thinking about the parenting that the classes are there, but they're not
I
required.
and I also think that consultation with someone is very important because not all parenting classes are equal. So if you
Mm,
don't know how to parent and you're looking for a parenting class, uh, come on, let's face it, a lot of things are set up to make money.
Right.
So I think consultation is important to try to guide you towards some of the expectations of a parenting class. We've been talking about families. I also wanted to add how the community as a whole affects a child's mental health, right? Violence in the community. You know, if someone is is afraid of going to their house, is afraid when they're in their home, I mean, that's a lot of stress for a child. So violence in the community, poverty, racism, historical trauma from racism and other historical events. And also access to healthcare is a big one because we're talking about seeking help, but a lot of parents run into not having healthcare once they seek help. I want to add something that I think is very important. Is something that the way I started out talking about. So I started out talking about mental health and medical health, right? Physical health. So I just wanted to say that your mental health also affects your physical health. So you can be doing all these things looking out for your physical health and ignoring your mental health. But if you're depressed, depression leads to things like diabetes, obesity, cancer. Depression is probably, I think, the number one thing that leads to heart disease. So it all leads up to physical problems in the end. Alcoholism, drug use, what about suicide? I mean, you're basically dead. Sorry to put it that way. But all these things, your mental health lead to them. So you can't just ignore your mental health and say you're focusing on your physical health. It goes together. Take care of your child's mental health. Do it now. Save money, save time. Don't wait until it's too late. The younger you start, the more success we have with children.
You know, Bev, I think Louis wants to jump in and he may have to jump off. But real quick, you know, you just mentioned these heart problems, right? The depression, you know, and the Bible talks a lot about guarding our heart, and we overlook these things because in the heart is where we hold on to the emotions, the stress, the depression, the anger, the fear, the worry. You ever see sometimes if you have how your heart starts to ache, you got something you're worried about, or you heard the news, your knee doesn't hurt, it's the heart. Lose something or lose money out of your account, and you see all of a sudden it's like your heart, right? When something traumatic. And then so yeah, it's definitely linked. That emotional health seeps into the cells, seeps in and just causes all these medical problems. And we don't think about it. You know, there's a young lady that just killed herself, vibrant looking woman in college, and she wrote a letter of how she was struggling with this for a while, struggling. And so sometimes we see people happy, but they're struggling emotionally, and you can't see it because we can see if somebody's struggling physically, but that emotional imbalance. So we have to, this has to keep, you know, coming up, that emotion, and stop with the taboo. Especially Caribbean people put mental health, you're mad, you're crazy, all of that. There's so much taboo, and it's so interesting today to hear that mental health, you know, is to be addressed from a baby. That's just, you know, leaving a baby just crying, 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 or just the environment, what they're hearing in the family, in the home. All of that affects our mental wellness. Maybe that's, you know, a nicer term to say our mental wellness, but it's important.
Mhm.
You can eat
The
healthy,
question
you know.
you asked earlier about the postpartum depression, and I looked it up. It actually can go for an entire year, but just really thinking in terms of not, even if it's after a year, it can still be going on, but generally within 1 year of having given birth is when it's likely that a woman can suffer postpartum depression.
Well,
Louis.
well, at least they call it that, but you know, because if they give it, I think up to a 2 year period after that, they don't call it postpartum anymore, but the depression can
Right,
still
right.
be there.
Right.
They just call it they just call it depression, but doesn't mean it went anywhere.
Mhm.
Right. Louis is,
So,
he's listening to all, you see all the
Louis,
stuff we as mothers and the women hormonal the shifts also, you know, from youth to teenage to postpartum, all the way, you know, birth, having children, and all the way to menopause. There's a lot.
we were magically made, but it's up to us to keep that magic going.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to add just one more thought. Expectations. When you mentioned that the young lady that just committed suicide, and we see that suicide is on the rise, and obviously sometimes parents have a lot of expectation of children, and they feel stressed when they're struggling mentally. They can't come to their parents or their caregivers or the ones that are close to them because they don't want to disappoint them. So we want to start having, as parents, just a healthy view of our children and what they might be going through, and leave that safe space, that if they are struggling, they don't feel that they're going to be putting us to shame or embarrassing us, that they could come to talk to us. So when they're having difficulties, they won't go to the extreme, but they'll be able to have somewhere safe to come. But we have to put that out there. We have to let them know, if you're failing a class, if you want to drop a class, if something is
Right.
happening in your life, you can come and talk to me. Nothing is too difficult. But we don't say that. And our kids sometimes don't want to add any more burdens to us because we know how much finance it is cost to send a child to college. Mom is working so hard, dad is working so hard. I don't want to add that extra burden to them. I don't want to disappoint them. So what they do, they just transition out of this space.
Right. Which is
And then
what
it's so
she
difficult. So we
said.
want to be so careful.
She apologized for disappointing her
Yes,
family, but it was just too much.
too much.
Mr. Wither, you're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, Guy, I want to commend the panel this evening for such a healthy discussion on this matter, you know, from Marilyn to Beverly to Kim. You guys made some very, very, very important points. And, you know, my question is, someone asked me today on the air, we are celebrating Mental Month, and we're also celebrating the awareness of kids, foster kids. And so someone asked me today, Louis, what do you think about how is it that foster kids is going to get along in this society? And so my question is, how do we get this information out to the young people in schools and in the community? Because these are healthy discussion that needs to be out there, that needs to be more effective, getting into the classroom, into the homes, into the community, so that our young people, because Dana, last week we have a couple here from Jamaica that we on our network that talk about the level of crime and the level of things that are happening, and that's just one island, Jamaica. Kids don't know their morals anymore. There's no moral compass within our society with kids anymore, and it comes also from the parents. The kids are running the homes. The kids come in and tell you what they want to eat. They come in and tell you what they want to do, where they're going, and you can't stop them from going where they're going. So they're running the homes in a lot of our society. Most of us are from the Caribbean island. How do we get these information to these people? Because you have to remember that 30 years ago, the parents that are 30 years ago now, that are parenting now, they got the same treatment. They didn't know anything. They run out of their parents' home early. They didn't get the right treatment. They didn't get the right guidance. So they don't have the guidance for their kids. And it's a generation of a cycle continuing down the road. We who are in our 50s, we have a different set of mindset. We totally have a different set of mindset, 50s and possible 40s, because our parent had different moral compass. We grow up differently with more discipline. We go to church on Sundays. We go to Sunday school. I was asking a friend of mine, where is Sunday school? There is no Sunday school in our church anymore. Where do our leaders, our church leaders comes in? Are they teaching the right thing to our kids? Are they running them out of the pew too early? Are they not bringing them into church and really talk to them? Where do we get this information out? Because it needs to go out to our kids. If not, it's a lost world. We're living in a lost society.
That's a heavy, heavy, heavy hitter, Mr. Lewis. You really hit us hard with that question. I'm going to allow any one of those ladies to answer that question. I know Beverly work a lot with the foster kid, so she can give us some knowledge on that. But what I would like to do is talk, just pick the controversial side of that is our politicians, our lawmakers. When we talk about defunding and inappropriacy, and where's the money going? It is needed.
Yes.
Not after. Everybody's here saying, where's the parenting class? Where's the parenting class? They're there, but they're only referred to you when you already get in trouble. Where's the prevention? Where's the education? It needs to be there now, not when something happened, not when we already break our face. We need to have that now. And until they can agree, those lawmakers and policymakers, that these things need to be incorporated within the rooms, within the class, then we wouldn't get the change.
Like I said, I'm going to say that
some of the information is out there. You have to, as a parent, attach yourself to someone who knows. It's not always about money. There's a lot of Zoom events that I go to, and some of them are free. You don't even have to pay a dime. There are a lot of people out there just want you to know the information. They're not even looking to become rich or for payment for these things. They just want to share the information. So attach yourself to someone who knows how to find the resources. And that's one way you can go about it. As far as the foster care system, yes, those are the children that struggle the most with mental illness.
Absolutely.
They're also the population that's always getting medication to solve mental illness. The things that the children need to do, the medication basically is not going to help them to learn anything. It may put them to bed at night, but basically that's pretty much it. So yes, the children in the foster care, especially those in the institutions, not just the foster home, but the institutions. So we have to reach out to daycares. We have to reach out to Head Start. We have to reach out to foster care agency. Every state has a lead foster care agency or lead community agency. Every state has one. Some of those agencies can provide prevention therapy for prevention. We have an early steps from 0 to 3. Every state has an early intervention program from 0 to 3. So we just attach yourself to somebody who may be able to give you some guidance as where to get some stuff.
Thank
So
you.
I just
Beverly, one thing I wanted to say, sorry,
Yes.
that some years ago I had consulted with you, Beverly, and I don't even remember what the question I had posed to you, but excuse me. I came away from that conversation and you said to me, you know, I don't understand how we could put people on the moon, but we can't help a 6-year-old. And it really stuck with me to this day. I don't even know if you remember saying that to me, but I think that when we have these resources, and one of the things that I know that they are the resources, but if you could even say a little bit, you or Marynell can say a little bit about where to find the appropriate resources, because I see so many people coming online, on YouTube, or you know, wherever they are, and they're presenting themselves as having knowledge about these topics. And I think that they are so misleading sometimes. And unfortunately, so many people are subscribing to them. Hit subscribe, yes, hit subscribe. They're subscribing to them and they're not getting, and I think this is what Mr. Lewis is saying, they're not getting the good information. So for somebody in terms of the foster care system or other systems like Bevan is saying, you know, when people get into trouble for not having taken care of and have been reported to Child Protective Services or the Department of Children's Services, whatever it's called in your state, that's when we start to say, well, here are some resources. So just a little bit more on that, if you can.
Awesome.
Well, I would say also, if you look at your local public school is also another place. So if your child is already 3, the local public school has funds and resources where they have to provide some type of intervention for your child. So that's also another place you can look. And of course, you can ask your medical provider, let them know what issues you're having and ask them for a referral. So, but you just have to look at the person's background and the person's qualification. If the person is not in the field, but all of a sudden they're providing therapy, like, is it a money thing, or are they serious about therapy? Because one thing we all know, if you're in the field of therapy, we don't work for money, we work for success. So if the person is just jumping on now and all of a sudden they're going to give you all of these advice. Looks as though they tried different things in life and they're basically trying to get a payday. So you want people who are committed, people who have done the work, and people who are in the field and serious about being successful.
All right. I must
So I
say,
just want to,
go ahead.
Mr. Lewis, I just wanted to respond to what you had expressed. And there are services out there, but there are a lot of people who don't want to come to it. Like even for those who work in the school, you have a parent-teacher conference. How many parents come out? They have activities. How many parents actually come out? But when you talk about the church, I think that could be a starting point where churches could have parenting groups that is not an offending parent, but just part of a curriculum to have a healthier church, a healthier congregation, a healthier community. And it's not like in the child welfare system where because you hurt your child that you have to go to parenting class, but it's just part of a church, call it that. Like they had Sunday school, that's no longer there. The question is why? People are busier. They have more distractions. Back in the day, social media wasn't where it is. Now people want to stay home and they want to be on their phones and they want to do other things. Back in the day, church was somewhere you go for socialization, you meet friends, you had activities. Now there are other ways to do that. So the question is that how we go full circle and bring that interest back where we could grab the attention of those individuals and offer these classes, offer these informational sessions, because they don't really go out and seek them, even there.
Yes, very good point. Very good point. You know, I do want to just end by commending you again, guys. One of the things I'll take away is LT effective communication. That is very, very important. LT effective communication, letting kids know that they belongs to their home. They feel belonging when they feel belong and the parent teach them or taught them or say to them, yes, you are part of my family. Feeling ownership of where they live, their address, as one of you mentioned earlier on, have ownership. All of these things are things to make a child feel safe. I heard one of you said earlier on that each kid need an angel, a leader, you know, it's things like that. Healthy discussion. And so I hope that the few of us that are listening this evening on our network and on also Facebook will take away some of these samples, examples of effective communication with our children, because it makes a big difference at the end of the day. You know, foster kids and mental health, they grow into they're all intertwined with each other because of how society is. And we should commend today's Mother's Day as we celebrate. You know, there's a lot of single women out there as mothers who are feeling so much pressure that not getting support from men, the fathers that are out there. And it's a mental thing at the end of the day for them to juggle so much job and have two kids that have no rules and any moral compass, because that woman alone cannot help those two child. And this is where it starts from. These ladies, and we can also go back as we talk about the church, we can also go back to what do we do to help single mothers? What are the government, what are other agencies are doing to help single mothers out there who are struggling, because time rough out there with these single mothers and they don't have half of the time to look after the kids. And so these are issues that all bring these mental problems that we're having in society. We see Jamaica, they're killing people. In Trinidad, young people are killing people for nothing. In all of these islands that we live in, we came from, these young people are killing one another because of joke. Some of them for shoes. Your shoes, don't touch my shoes. And if you step on my shoes, I'm gonna kill you. It's a mental thing. It's all mental. And so I commend you guys. We hope that we can try and fix these problems. We alone cannot do it. This is a forum to start. And we thank God for this forum that we have together. And we thank God for your knowledge this evening. God bless you.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
Happy Mother's Day, everyone. Thank you so much. There's lots of comments on Facebook and interaction. So that's good to see that people are interacting and they're learning. And I think at the end of the day, we all want to do better and be better. And also reach out and help someone to be better, especially a younger woman. You know, we
Paid,
taken on the wisdom with age and and all of that. So now let's
paid,
turn.
paid forward. Let's pay it
Yeah,
forward to
pay
reach out to
forward.
a child with mental health this month, and just make them feel welcome, make them feel wanted, you know.
Yeah. All
Amen.
right. One love.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys again.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Until
We'll end with this song this evening for the 9 months that carry you.
Oh,
Amen.
While you went shopping, 25 cents. Taking out the trash, $1. And for getting a good report card, $5. And for raking the yard, $2. Total owed $14.75. Well, she looked at him standing there expecting, and 1,000 memories began to flash through her mind. So she picked up the pen and she turned the letter over. This is what she wrote to that little boy. For the 9 months I carried you, growing inside me, no charge. For the nights I sat up with you, doctor, you prayed for you, no charge. For the time and the tears and the comfort through the years, there is no charge. When you add it all up, the real cost of my love is no charge. For the nights filled with dread and the worries ahead, no charge. For advice and the knowledge and the cost of your college, no charge. For the toys, food, and clothes, and wiping your nose, there's no charge, my son. When you add it all up, the real cost of my love is no charge. After that mom finished talking to the little boy, he looked up at her with great big old tears in his eyes and he said, Mama, I sure do love you. And then he reached out and he got the letter and he turned it over and he wrote in great big words, paid in full. When
Paid
you
in
add
full.
it all up,
Paid in full. Thank you
That's
all,
right.
ladies. All right. Happy
right.
Mother's Day to all of you. Excellent job today. And continue to tune in to crrfm.com. We have plenty of music here for the rest of the evening. God bless you
All
all.
right. God bless everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you. Good night.
good night.